It's time for Around the Ozarks Sports Scene, brought to you by Colton's Steakhouse, Thompson Sales, and Deadeye Gun and Pawn in Sparta. Here's your host, Scott Purrier.
Welcome in to another edition of Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. I am Scott Purrier. As always, appreciate you tuning in this week as we talk local, regional, national sports here on Around the Ozarks Sports Scene. And we're going to try our second sports roundtable of the season. We're expecting Sully Engels from KY3 to join us here in just a minute, but welcome in Chris Parker from the Ozark Sports Zone and Chris Pinson from Color 10, the weekend anchor over there. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks, Scott.
You betcha. Yeah, Sully will be joining us in just a second. I know he's finalizing details for a trip down to Frisco, Texas to cover the football Bears and the Xbox Bowl. Chris, you'll be leaving tomorrow, which tomorrow being Wednesday as we tape this on Tuesday. Got some questions and issues we want to address, and I think we'll fill Sully in when he joins in. But I think first and foremost on the news topics is the move from Ryan Beard from Missouri State to Coastal Carolina, and the impact it's having on the football Bears as they get ready to play a bowl game coming up on Thursday against Arkansas State, nationally televised on ESPN2, 8 o'clock kickoff there. Chris Pinson, I guess the question, and Parker, you can follow up, but after this is they lose Ryan Beard. Is that a good thing because somebody wanted a Missouri State coach, or is it a bad thing because the Bears couldn't keep him? Which side do you kind of lean on, Chris Pinson, in that regard?
I think it's truly a mix of both, Scott, right? For the first time in a very long time, right? Somebody, Coastal Carolina, wanted a Missouri State football coach, like you said, and Ryan Beard. That's a great thing for the program. That means that success is happening when you have other schools trying to poach or lure your coach away with better money, better facilities, whatever it is. So for Bears fans who are disappointed, you got to take it with a grain of salt and a smile because this hasn't happened in a very long time, according to most of Bears football history. On the other hand, you're right. I mean, I've talked to his players, outside of the football locker room, outside of the podium, and every one of them would run through a brick wall for Ryan Beard, for him, not to get away from him. And that says a lot about somebody. And that's why I think the next guy that comes in here has to be somebody of Ryan Beard's age. It needs to be somebody who's going to be a strong leader, and especially somebody who knows how to command a room, whether it's in the locker room, on the field, or out in the community kissing babies and shaking hands, because Ryan Beard has left some gigantic shoes to fill here at Missouri State. But again, it's for the better. And I do think that going forward, this program with its leadership, Missouri State football might be in the best place it's ever been, I think, in program history.
Chris Parker, does it worry you that some of the things that weren't able to keep Ryan Beard here might deter some of the people that might be interested in this job from coming and taking it?
It's no secret the facilities for an FBS school are subpar. There's just no sugarcoating that. And so if everything's the same, you're going to go where you have the better facilities and the better, things that attract players. If you're in Missouri State's case, right, Missouri State situation right now, coaches are generally going to leave under one of two conditions. Either you have to let them go for lack of performance, or someone wants them for good performance. And another program wanting them for good performance is much better than the latter. And when I think you see guys like Ryan Beard, for example, moving on, you can look at the Lady Bears and see the quality of coach they're able to get because they sent Kelly Harper to Tennessee, and then they sent Mox to Virginia. Coaches can start looking at this as what it is a stepping stone, but a positive stepping stone to bigger things, and that might enhance the quality of a coordinator or an up-and-coming coach you can get.
Sully, you got to answer the question. Just whatever question you want to answer, just answer it now, okay?
The thing about it is that no matter what I say, I feel confident saying it. And if you say it with enough confidence, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Sure, my face is covered up by, a dead.
There we go. We'll take the logos off.
But that's
there.
okay.
Yeah.
Because the key to this is always going to be no turnovers, playing the game the right way, and having fun along the way, Scott.
There you go. That is perfect coach speak there. Yeah, I love it. So, Sully, we were talking about with and welcome into the podcast. We're talking about with Ryan Beard's departure, which side we lean on, whether it was a good sign because it means Bears football has something somebody else wants, or a bad sign that they couldn't keep a guy that really was building things and going forward. And where would you lean that direction?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. It's like, Beard talked about it all the time last couple of weeks is to have that kind of interest in your program from people outside of it is going to be a good thing. That means you're doing something right. It means you know how to build a program, especially one that has been, as he likes to put it, the depths of hell of where Missouri State was. But at the same time, when you're Missouri State, like you can't make money appear per se, but you kind of need to in this situation. It's you got to kind of prioritize and understand when the iron is hot, you need to strike, because it's not always that you're going to find another Ryan Beard. This coaching search could go great. They could find another guy that is kind of built from that same cloth and is understanding of what it needs to build a program in that situation. But Beard clearly had a great grasp on what that needed to be done here with what they had, and had an ability to bring in recruits and convince people that it could be done here in Springfield. And that's going to be the hardest part about this job. I think there's a lot of guys that know how to coach football throughout the nation, but I don't know how many guys there are that can take a situation like this that is improving and take it to where it needs to be with kind of minimal help. So, yeah, I'd say it's kind of a split bag on that,
Yeah. Pinson, is it hard not to kind of feel like Missouri State wasn't ready for this quickly, this fast? Because, 5 years down the road, if Beard built it up gradually like that, maybe they have the locker rooms and they have the indoor, and it's more enticing to stay and more enticing for our next candidate. But it's almost like a little bit of, whoa, how did that happen? And now we just lost the guy.
I'm going to choose this carefully. I think that a lot of this blame, you've got to put this on Kyle Moats and the pass regime. Okay. There's no two ways about it. These facilities, everything that we are lacking right now, you could have had built up, but obviously because of underperformance, I know for a fact that prior to 2020, the football program was possibly going to get shut down. I've been told that. And so the reason why this is taking place is because of its lack of performance, like both Sully and Chris Parker just talked about. Had this happened years ago, right, where we had consistent performance, right, more than just 1 year on a once-off and not 5 or 6 consecutive years or mediocre to bad football, this would have been a prepared thing that we could have said, hey, Beard, we got it, just stay, we'll improve it, not have to build it, right? If you build it, they'll come, and that's going to be our future motto for whoever we get next or for whoever the Bears get in the coming future. But the problem is the last administration looked at football, and football was never the thing, right? This town, historically, in my young experience here, has been what? A basketball town. And now all of a sudden, we start winning. And everybody from the high school level is buying into football. Now we're buying in as a program here at Missouri State. I hate to say this, but it's too little too late. And so the deal is you have to look at the situation now and go, okay, our administration understands what we can do, where we can go. So it's going to take patience from the next guy. But, I put this failure on the past administration because, no offense, Patrick Ransdale can only promise something. He can't, like Sully said, make money or material appear.
Moving on, next question related to this issue. No question, this is a very crucial hire for Patrick Ransdale very early in his brief AD career. He's got to nail it. With the momentum the football team has picked up this season with the 7-5 finish, the bowl trip, the good, strong finish in Conference USA as a new member. Chris Parker, who is that guy? Is it a fired Power 4 name coach? Is it a Power 4 up-and-coming coordinator of some type? A group of 5 head coach that, much like Ryan Beard did here, gets pulled away from what he's doing good things somewhere else? Parker, who do you see that person or their background? What do they come from?
Personally, I have a name in mind, and I have no inside information. I have nothing. It's just I think he has the perfect resume, and it's Tim Beck, not the fired Coastal Carolina coach, but the Vanderbilt offensive coordinator. He's won a national title. He's from Kansas. He's won a national title at Pittsburgh State, the Division II level. Went down to TCU. Then he went with Jerry Kill at New Mexico State, turned them into a winner, and now he's the offensive coordinator at Vanderbilt. And you look what Vanderbilt's done the last couple of years. That is the kind of guy I think Missouri State should target. He's later in his career, so there's not as many chances for him to make that jump to an FBS head coach. All he does is win. He's familiar with the area. I think the area would embrace him. He's probably already got a lot of connections in Southwest Missouri that could potentially help with fundraising and that on that angle of things. That's a guy I really like as a name that has jumped out to me.
Sully, do you have a particular background of choice? Some of the guys that we think of and the fired Power 4 guys are like Gus Malzahn or or a Hugh Freeze or even a Mike Gundy or a Sam Pittman. Do you need to go that route for the name aspect of it to keep people engaged and interested, or do you have a different approach in mind?
I think if you're going to play the name game per se, it's going to be a guy that has been around the school the last week, and his son is already on the staff and who's already coached here. It's Bobby Petrino. You see Bears fans talking about that again and again. But if it's me, that's not what I would want to do. You don't want this to be a reclamation project for someone's career. That's what you want, not what you want Missouri State to be. You want it to be, and just be real about it. Like, it is a stepping stone. Like, that's just the reality of what this is. There's no way to fix that, but it's better to embrace that. I think that's what a lot of people miss in these conversations is like, oh, we got to find a guy that we can lock down for 5 or 10 years. Like, that's just not going to happen. If you got to find a guy again and again that's going to be able to produce, which is difficult. I'm not saying that's easy, but that's just the reality of it. So I'd rather see a young coordinator, just like quick research on it. A guy that was actually in town this year, Casey Woods, who was offensive coordinator for SMU. People like him a lot, super young coordinator, and a guy that's kind of not totally known yet. And then another one is Ben Arbuckle, who's at Oklahoma, another young coordinator. And that's just kind of, you see those again and again from all these types of lists and they put out there. But a guy like that, I think, is much more endearing to the fan base because, sure, it's maybe not a splash, but it's something that they can build with, even if it's for a short amount of time and get behind. You saw that with Beard. He'd only been here 3 years as a head coach. And people got behind that quickly. So I think it's tough to replicate what he did, but I'd rather go down that road trying to find that again than going to a coordinator that is, or a former head coach that's kind of been through the cycle of all this and looking to try and get that one last, grasp at greatness. Like, I don't want to be a part of that as much unless it was a guy that was going to cut you an insane discount. I'd rather go with someone young.
Chris Pinson?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sully and Parker kind of said it best. Right? The two coordinators there from SMU and Vanderbilt certainly, I think, are probably going to be the names that I would go after. But again, right, it's so hard right now, I think, to pluck those guys away just because if you're Vanderbilt, right, you're Vanderbilt, you're Texas Tech, right? Those kind of teams that have always been, perennial either doormats or just middle of the road teams, they're now realizing they've got all that buying power. I mean, look at Tristan Gardner. He had a great year here, and now he's going to Texas Tech. So, teams like that, I don't think it'd be hard to get their coordinators, but at the same time, I think it is. Just because, for them, I don't know how much they'd want to say, I want to drop all the way down to the bottom of the FBS when I'm here as a coordinator, getting paid probably pretty good. And, again, that kind of money is, to me, you're already there at some place with resources and facilities. Why would you want to come here without that kind of stuff, right? That's a reality take. I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing a guy from down the road in St. Louis come this way. It might be a stretch, but what about former NFL player Anthony Beck? I mean, he coached the Battlehawks. They've done pretty well. He's a guy that has a great reputation. And again, for somebody of him, his son's quarterback at Iowa State. So he'd stay in the Show Me State, not too far down the road. And I think Anthony Beck might be an outlier name, but I wouldn't mind seeing him come down the road.
That's interesting. Yeah. And Chris, I know you got to jump off here in a second. So let's go to, you'll start off with the next topic. Tough day at Kansas City on Sunday with the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes going down, torn ACL and LCL, surgery on Monday night already to get ready for next year. Chiefs dropped to 6-8. They're out of playoff contention for the first time since 2014. Did we witness the death of the Chiefs as we know them, or can they somehow pull it back together and resurrect in time for 2026?
Well, in the words of Chris Jones, they got Patrick Mahomes. They'll be all right. I mean, look, right? This injury couldn't come really at a worse time because we all know an ACL injury is a big issue with rehab. I did see yesterday he also tore his LCL, which makes things more complicated. So realistically, if he's able to come back, by the start of the season in September, that would be a major, major comeback. But I'm thinking Patrick won't be there until about October, realistically. Then again, we never know with athletes and their freak comebacks because I believe Adrian Peterson came back within less than 8 months when he came back from his ACL. But no, I don't think so. Look, yes, this team will have to get revamped offensively. Defense was not the problem. Special teams was fine. Bucker missed a few more kicks than usual, but nothing major. For some reason, this offense ever since they beat Philly in 23 and both teams could score at over 70% rate in the red zone, they've just crashed back to earth. They haven't been efficient in the red zone, and that's what has killed them. So if you're Brett Veach, I think you've got to figure out a way to revamp the running game. You got to bring in maybe, I don't know. I mean, I look at the offense on paper, looks fine. They just don't score touchdowns in the red zone. So when they figure that out, they'll be back to being Kansas City. But outside that, I think they're fine. It's just making a major tweak, from the 20 to the goal line. And once you score enough, you start winning games.
Chris Pinson, thanks for your time. No, you got to get ready to head to Frisco. We'll catch you on the next roundtable as well, okay?
Thanks, guys. See you guys down there.
You bet.
I'll see you there, man.
Chris Parker. Hey, look, Sully, I can now put my sponsors back up there. That's good. Hey,
I don't want
Parker,
you to lose out on money.
What red flags did you see? And on our radio show, we've talked about that. Apparently, they had a chance to get Breece Hall back at the trade deadline for a third-round pick. You kind of wonder if that would have been the life injector they needed in that backfield, where they got two number twos basically with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. But your thoughts on the Chiefs, and are we done watching them as a perennial playoff team?
They're going to have to reinvent themselves. And Scott, the big thing that happened is luck. We weren't willing to acknowledge the luck that comes into being this good this long, and injury luck particularly. They've had a lot of injury luck throughout this run. None of their like 1 through 15, their top 15 guys ever got hurt. Well, this year their top 4 tackles all went down, and you saw what happened. Bill Barnwell had a really good article. Patrick Mahomes through 14 games was hit 153 times, second most in the NFL behind Justin Herbert. Throughout his first 6 years of his career, he was getting hit an average of 117 times through the first 14 games. Each time you get hit, that's taking a chance, and they've added all that. So Mahomes is scrambling a lot more. And the thing you have to worry about going forward again is how many times did we watch Patrick Mahomes just dance out of a guy's grasp, like just one step? Does this ACL make him more hesitant? Does it slow him down that step? Does he need to reinvent himself to be more of a pocket passer, which is how Tom Brady was able to extend his career? He didn't take those hits. He stood tall in the pocket, threw it away when necessary, didn't try to make all those special things happen. So I think the answer to that question will be decided upon whether or not they can rebuild that offensive line, keep Mahomes upright, keep him from getting hit, and whether Patrick is willing to evolve into that next stage of his career.
Sully, your answer, and I want to start too by saying, should Travis Kelce be back, or is it time for him to become Mr. Swift and move on?
Yeah, that kind of plays exactly into how I look into this. I think the Patrick Mahomes injury potentially could be a blessing in disguise for this team and for the direction of this franchise. We've seen over the last, I would say really this season, last year they had their offensive struggles. They looked good, still make the Super Bowl. And then that game's kind of a one-off. Obviously, they didn't look great in it. But you see that Travis Kelce is not the guy he used to be. You see that this offensive line isn't really functioning that well. You see all the flaws very easily for this team. And they, I think, more so than ever need to go out and address those. And having this time with Patrick injured is going to reinforce that point from the protection standpoint to the weapon standpoint. So in the case of Travis Kelce, I mean, what do you do? Like, are you looking for that perfect storybook ending? I don't know if that's coming. And I don't, Patrick might not even play this next season. And if he does, we've always seen that ACL injuries kind of take that full off season of recovery to have that player back to normal. So you're not going to get 100% Patrick next year either, no matter if he's back or not. So that Travis Kelce waiting around 2 more years to make this happen, I don't know. I mean, you can see this talent drop off already. I think the writing is on the wall. But regardless of if he does or doesn't come back, they need to get better at that position. They need to get better at running back. They need to have, I guess, I think the wide receiving core is okay, but you can always use more talent there and obviously more depth there. We've seen what happened this year, and that's what made that, Legion of Zoom a couple of years ago for Kansas City so good, is that you were 1 through 6 very talented offensive players. You look at where they're going to be in the draft right now, right at that 12 range. I've seen people projecting, I think it's Miami's tight end there, Oregon's tight end, that's what it is. And then the other big name is a guy that was just in New York, and Jeremiah Love, who's, aside from maybe Ahmad Hardy in Missouri, the unquestioned number 1 running back in the country. That would be an injection of life and a 5-year contract on a rookie deal that you would love to see paired with Patrick Mahomes. Is that the biggest issue?
Yeah, am I okay? Dan and I have talked about, free agency if they don't get franchise tag.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts Jr. and Tyler Algier. Algier, every time he gets a chance, is a freaking bowling ball that can't be stopped. It seems weird to say that the Chiefs need two guys from the Falcons, but Parker, would you think that'd be a good start to free agency?
The first start they have to make on free agency is to take care of this $43 million over the cap they are next year. That's going to dictate everything. Mahomes is $77 million and Chris Jones is $64 against the cap. They're going to restructure that. But if Kyle Pitts continues on the trajectory, if he doesn't get franchise tag, some coaches are going to say, hey, we saw the pedigree, we saw the flash here, and they're going to be able to outbid the Chiefs at that point. Yeah. Their cap situation is rough. Maybe you cut Juwan Taylor. So I think that's going to be the first step. But both of those would be great additions. Obviously, anytime anybody with any kind of the athleticism or upside of a Kyle Pitts comes to the Chiefs offense, everybody starts to dream because they know what Mahomes can do with that kind of talent. So obviously, Pitts would be great. He is not a good blocker. He's even below a Travis Kelce level blocker. You're still dealing with the issue of keeping Patrick Mahomes in the pocket and upright coming off of this injury.
Sully, will Andy Reid be back?
Yeah, I think Andy Reid will be back, but I think he needs to make maybe a move to the staff. I don't know. It feels like the play calling has been a little bit repetitive, and it feels like they're kind of lacking the imagination and inspiration that they had in the years prior that made them so dangerous, especially around the goal line, kind of what Chris Pinson was talking about. They used to every week seem to have a new play that was dazzling, and we all got to see it on social media, and most of the time it worked, which is what made it even more fun. But they don't really seem to have that fire anymore, which is part of it. So I don't know. There could be that. I think Andy Reid, it's really tough to find a great head coach in the NFL, and I don't think he's the antithesis of this problem. He's not the guy that really builds the roster. He's a guy that certainly makes decisions on it, and he's got to be held accountable for that part of it. But maybe I'm a homer. I always love Andy Reid because we went to the same high school, and he's such a good guy. So that maybe I'm biased on that, but I would keep Andy Reid around because I don't really know who's someone that they bring in. Is there a guy that you have in mind that would change this team for the better, change the culture of this team? I don't know. That's not really Andy Reid's problem. It's more just getting back and maybe getting some help to do the things that have made them so successful the last 10 years.
Let's wrap it up with Chris Parker's favorite subject, high school sports. High school basketball is underway. Early signs, Parker, we'll start with you on teams that are living up to billing and are maybe state championship caliber programs or can challenge for it. Who you got on both the boys and the girls sides?
I think the boys, everything starts with Hartville. I mean, in the preseason, their coach Brett Reed was talking about how state championship's the goal. They felt like they were a bucket away from winning state last year. They were on the road at Eugene for the quarterfinal or a sectional round, playing in a really tough environment ever since they went away from the neutral sites, which they are back to neutral sites this year. But Hartville, they started out the season ranked number 1 in their class. It's our only number 1 ranked boys team across all 6 classes to start the year. In fact, Logan Rogersville, ranked number 3 in class 4, is our only other top 3 team. So Hartville has to be right up there. They've got they're heavily senior led, and I like what they have a lot. The girls side, I see a lot of contenders. I see contenders all over the place. The Kickapoo girls off to a great undefeated start there. They played Stratford really close, and they played St. Charles Lutheran really close. But those are 2 high quality programs. There's a lot of talent, obviously, with Incarnate Word and Staley in Class 6. Class 5, Marshfield brings everything back on the girls' side from last season's state quarterfinal team that fell to Helias Catholic. Izzy Cherney is a year older. She's now a sophomore. She's getting Division I looks. Peyton Ward is a high level, is a low level Division I recruit, and last name's escaping me, but they've got a lot of skill there, a lot of ability. Stratford is up in Class 4. They're led by the Larsons. Elsie Larson and Elsie Larson is going to Colorado State, and they obviously showed their ability when they played Kickapoo. And then you drop down into Class 3, where Fair Grove has reigned supreme over the last several years. They're now up in Class 4, and they're trying to figure out who they are. So that's a little bit more wide open locally. Norwood is back with a lot in Class 2. They have, I think, their entire starting lineup back, or maybe they only lost one from a 3-time Final Four contender. The Miller girls are very good there in class. They're probably our best Class 3 team, Class 2 team. And then, Chadwick girls defending champion Class 1 along with Walnut Grove girls, and that's kind of the ones you're looking at.
Sorry about that, Sully. I should have had you lead off because I knew Parker was literally going to name every one of the teams that we were thinking because it's what he does. I mean,
there's no reason to let me talk or need for me to talk when Parker is asked about this kind of stuff. I was happy to sit back and listen to that. The only other team I think maybe I'd add, and it's not even just a state championship team, just a fun local team, the Hillcrest boys. Great environment in their arena. Very talented team. I don't know if they're big enough to win in Class 5, the size that they have, but they're going to be very fun to watch this year. Parker mentioned Logan Rogersville. You got one of the best players in the nation in the area. That's always big. It's, I think those two would be fun just in the area. And the girls' talent around here is kind of insane. Maybe a hot take. I'd like to see a little bit more of that headed towards the Lady Bears. Doesn't seem like there's as much local recruiting. You talk about Marshfield. You talk about a couple of the other schools. Elsie at Stratford. Where's Missouri State in that? I think I'd kind of like to see that a little bit more too. But I think that just goes to show the abundance, especially on the girls' side, of individual talent in this area is pretty impressive.
Is it just going to be one of those years, both of you, that our Class 6 is going to end Class 5, for the COC teams for that matter, are just going to be good to really good and probably not somebody that's capable of going all the way and winning a state title? Nixa, Brock Blanson does what he does. He takes the football guys and 3 days later goes to Rogers and wins 3 games impressively down there. Adam McKnight just basically changed a football uniform for a basketball one and goes in and scores about 25 to 28 a night there in that 3 games. But Parker, when you look at the COC, Kickapoo, Nixa, and everybody else, how do you see that?
It is Kickapoo and Nixa, Reese Kimry. 4-year starter for Kickapoo. That doesn't happen at Kickapoo. So when you got him running the point for you, you got a chance every night with that experience. And obviously Adam McKnight has kind of, after the graduation of Jace Combs there, it seems like he's kind of morphed into and accepted that mantle as the guy of the team. They will cross, whoever wins that district, that local district, will cross with Rockhurst, or that in Kansas City area, but Rockhurst is ranked number 3 in the rankings. But yeah, Kickapoo, Nixa, Glendale with Joel Rover. He's another really high level one. And then in Class 5, like what Sully said there, with Kyrie Simpson, he's the next big thing. I mean, he's already a big thing, but he's the next one that people are really going to start to get to know. Average 24 points a game as a sophomore. That Class 5 locally is pretty wide open, and if you win that Class 5 local district, you're 1 win away from a Final Four. That's all you got to do. It's what Parkview did last year. They came out of that district, and they went up and won a tough road game on the road at Jefferson City, and they made it to the Final Four. So anything can happen, and as Nixa kind of saw this year on the football field, you need to beat the teams in front of you with the way their bracket broke, and they made it all the way to that Lee Summit game. And same with basketball. You don't have to beat everybody. You don't have to beat everybody ranked in front of you. You just got to beat the teams that are in front of you.
Very good. Well, Sully, I know you got to jump out. You got a trip to Frisco, Texas coming up. Parker, keep up the good work holding down the fort here in Springfield. Guys, let's do it again here in a few weeks, okay?
That sounds like a plan. Thanks for having us.
You betcha. Absolutely. Chris Parker and Sully Engels of KY3, the Ozark Sports Zone, and Chris Pinson of Color 10, the weekend anchor there. We appreciate them taking time to join us, and always appreciate our sponsors as well. We've added a new one, Deadeye Pawn, Deadeye Pawn and Gun out in Sparta. Joins Colton Steakhouse, Thompson Sales. We appreciate all of them, and we're going to talk more about Thompson Sales here in just a minute. So we'll be right back after this. As always, with Around the Ozark Sports Scene, we like to take time to visit with our sponsors and let them know how much we appreciate them and thank them for backing this weekly podcast. And this week we're visiting with Miles Thompson, the president of Thompson Sales. Miles, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Scott. Glad to be here. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners, and glad to be a sponsor here with you again this year.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we've said for weeks now since Colton Steakhouse came on board that the best plan of all is go look at a car at Thompson's, go back and sit down and have lunch or dinner at Colton's to mull it over, and then come back and finish the sale, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll just buy you lunch over there too. We'll just
exactly.
Buy a car, send you over to Colton's for a good steak or a good burger or whatever, or both.
Absolutely. Yeah, both. I mean,
Both.
Fill up and you're less likely to think straight, come back and buy the car then, but no, Thompson Sales been one of my favorites. Matter of fact, just finished our latest purchase, got a new terrain over there. The reason we go back to Thompson Sales since the early 80s is they treat you like family. And it goes back to your father, the late George Thompson, Uncle Lynn, Milt, and back to their predecessors. That's the way you and Tyler and all the Thompsons that are running it now want things to continue and going forward, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we started in 1919, George Thompson Sr. And, this is our one dealership we have. We have a lot of family members working here. And, this is all we know. And the way we want to treat our employees and our customers, the way we treat our family and everybody like that. So, it's just it's a people business, and, you just treat people the way they expect to be treated. And, we've been successful in it, and our team here enjoys working here. We treat them like family here, and that goes into the customer experience.
Well, we're taping this on December 17th, so you're running out of time if you haven't got that Christmas gift for your loved one yet. If you really want to make a splash, it'd be a great time to get over to Thompson's between now and Christmas Eve and wrap up that new car or truck for that one you love the most. What kind of specials we got going on in GMC, Buick, and Cadillac with Thompson's?
They have we've got a lot of good financing specials. They got some, and Buicks, they have some 120-day no payments going on until end of the year. So if you want to look at a new Buick, there's some options there. You don't have to make a payment for 120 days. Rebates are at the highest levels they've been all year. GM's really trying to close out the year with unit-wise. Sierra trucks are on special. Everything is holiday tagged and ready to go. No hassles. Just everything is really priced the way we want to price it to finish up the year. So if you're really thinking about something, come and see us. We can show you how to save some money on taxes with personal property tax, and also if you have a business and need a tax write-off, there's a lot of ways to go about that to help the bottom line. And we purchased over 100 used cars this month to have a good inventory going in with the pre-owned side of it. So we were stocked up, we were ready to go, and we were priced on the bottom. So we're happy with what we got now.
You see those commercials with it's cheesy, but you see the guy come out and he's got the car in the driveway. It's got the big red ribbon wrapped around it. That really does happen, doesn't it? I mean, you get people come in and I know that your brother-in-law, Drew, which we like to bang on quite a bit, would he actually do, if somebody bought that, come out and put the ribbon on the car for them or
yeah,
not?
we'd have Drew actually stay in your garage until Christmas morning, and he'll lay that out there for you. I mean, we can make that happen. I'll get with Drew. He can sleep in his car Christmas Eve and be in your garage and then leave when you get up.
Well, they call that Wednesday around the household, I think, when he sleeps in his car. So credit to Emily and her rules in the house. But no, I mean, it is something. It's a thing to buy a gift of a car or vehicle, and you guys have got some great deals going on. What I like about Thompson's and always appreciate is you're not done with the dealership after you drive off the lot with that new or used GMC, Buick, or Cadillac. Your service department, you guys take pride in taking care of the customer when they have needs there. It's all right there on the Thompson's campus. I know that's been a tradition for many years as well.
Absolutely. I mean, service and after the sale is what we take pride in the most. That's what customers really enjoy coming here for, is the service after the sale. Anybody can sell you a car, but if you don't take care of them after the sale, they'll never come back. The service department, we have over 50 loaners for our customers. When they come in for service, they can borrow a car free of charge. We have a great waiting area. We have 2 shuttle vehicles running all the time. And we have a great staff back there that's been here many years. The guys you see are the guys you'll see next year, because that's what I want. I want the familiar faces in the dealership. So when you come back in, you're not just another person. You recognize everybody, and they just do a great job for us. I'm proud of the guys back in service, the way they take care of our customers.
Speaking of recognizing everyone, when I was in completing my purchase last month, Uncle Lynn Thompson roaming around out there in the dealership on the floor, and that's a special treat. I know he's not as full time anymore, but still, you get to see the legend if you time it right. Right?
He is. Uncle Lynn is here every day if he's not out of town or something. But he comes in every day, and his office is downstairs, so he's out and meeting and greeting and talking, and he still enjoys being here every day and seeing the customers and seeing the employees and just being involved in day-to-day activities. And hey, you can't beat having a legend at the store every day. I mean, that's like having one of the 50 years of car business right here and having the experience right here with you. And man, he knows everybody in town. He's been to every sports event in town for the last 50, 60 years. So, he's just a great asset that we have here. And, we work great together.
You couldn't have learned from two better teachers than your late father and Lynn Thompson, right? I mean, was that the key in you being able to take over the dealership and run the day-to-day?
Absolutely. I mean, for 20 plus years, I watched how they treated the employees here, how they treated customers, what they did for the community. And that's what I learned is, we're not in business unless the community supports us and we support them, and we support our employees and give them every opportunity to succeed here. And, my dad always said, people buy cars from who they like and who they trust. And if they don't like and trust you, they won't come here. So our number one goal is to make people trust us. And I think we do a great job at that.
Well, and you make people like you too. I mean, we've been around for 40 years, and there's times that, whether we're playing fantasy sports together, I don't like you much sometimes in those,
I know. Hey, on Sunday, it's open game, buddy.
It is, exactly. But, your family, longtime Chiefs supporters and fans, and season ticket holders, you did not have the Chiefs being 6-8 and losing Patrick Mahomes to an ACL probably on your bingo card coming into this year. We've talked a lot on the morning show, the starting lineup, Ned and I and Art, about is this the end for the Chiefs of the dynasty of 10 years in a row? Obviously, the playoff streak's over. But what do you and the Thompson boys see going forward with Chiefs football?
Oh, well, number one, I mean, I think back and look at history, and I look at, Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't, he had different players throughout his career coming to New England. And, and Patrick Mahomes has had a lot of the same players the last 4 or 5 years, with no running back situation, and, the wide receivers kind of off and on hurt or in play or suspended. So with Patrick Mahomes, I don't think you'll have an issue going forward. We will always be in the Super Bowl conversation. Mm-hmm. This year is just one of those years that things didn't work out. Last year we got, I would say lucky, but we won all those one-score games. This year we lost them all. So, they'll retool. Sometimes it's good to have a season where you need to, look inward, see what you need to fix, and kind of change things up, because people have caught up to us. I mean, we've been the target for the last 6, 7, 8 years. So, when you're the best, everybody wants to beat the best. And now we have to change a little bit. So keep doing what you did. You get what you got. And I think it's time to retool some things.
Well, it's like Thompson Sales. People want to beat the best out there. You guys are competitive with other dealerships in town, and you keep doing what you do to keep retaining customers. What are the hours going forward? Are you open Christmas Eve?
We are.
I know you're closed on Sundays, but still got time to get that vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. We're open Christmas Eve until around noon, or if you want to pick it up a little bit later, we kind of try to close around noon if we can. But we've had people come in and pick up cars from out of town until 3 or 4 o'clock that night. So just let us know. We'll be happy to take care of you and make those that Christmas gift possible.
Absolutely. Miles, thanks for your time. Thanks for your sponsorship, and have a great holiday time, okay, with the family.
Absolutely, Scott. Thank you. Appreciate what we do for the community and talking sports. So looking forward to it.
You bet. Thanks, Miles. Miles Thompson, president of Thompson Sales, one of our great sponsors. Also want to mention, we talked about Colton Steakhouse just down the street from Thompson's. We had Thomas Orr on last week, talk about their great offerings, whether it's steak or burgers or salads or whatever you're after for lunch or dinner. Go see Colton Steakhouse. They are at 2020 East Independence, just down from Thompson's at 1555 East Independence. Colton Steakhouse, get those great rolls, the peanuts. It's all good at Colton's. Go tell Thomas we said hello. And we have a new sponsor, Deadeye Gun and Pawn in Sparta. Welcome aboard. They're at 7483 Main Street in Sparta. You can go to their website, deadeyegunsupply.com, to check out their selection of rifles, ammo, magazines, knives. They've got archery equipment and supplies, a little bit of everything there at Deadeye. So go see the folks there. We will have them on in a coming episode soon to talk about what they offer and their selection, and we certainly appreciate having them on board. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Around the Ozark Sports Scene. Everybody have a happy holiday, and we will see you next time on the podcast.